Clown Lester Banks is suing Bob and Linda Johnson in the amount of $1,717.99. He claims Mr. Johnson assaulted him while performing.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Cristina Perez presiding. Please be seated. All parties have been sworn in, Your Honor.
Thank you, Bernard. Mr. Banks,
Yes, Your Honor.
you're a clown.
Yes, I am Fofo the Clown.
Fofo the clown.
Yes.
Do you own your own business? Are you an entertainer?
Yes, I'm an entertainer. I've been a clown for the past 15 years. I graduated from clown college.
And
And
this is what you wanted to do?
yes, I love
Good for you.
entertaining children,
Perfect.
making children happy.
Perfect.
That's my life.
Good for you. Now, I understand Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson, you hired Fofo the clown, a.k.a. Mr. Banks, to come to your son's first birthday party. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I understand that you are a little afraid of clowns.
Yeah, I have a phobia since I'm a little kid.
Okay. Are you okay being here with him today?
I don't feel that comfortable. It makes me a little hyperventilated, but I'm working through it.
Okay, all right. And remember, Bernard's always here.
Thank you.
He's bigger than Fofo the clown, okay? So, Mr. Banks, in your 15 years of performing as Fofo the clown, have you ever met anybody who was afraid of clowns?
Absolutely, yes.
Really?
Prior to me being in clown college, I majored in psychology.
Clown college.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
I majored in psychology in Valley College.
okay.
And my thesis...
But have you ever encountered anybody who has been afraid? Because I
Yes.
have never encountered anybody who's been afraid of clowns. I hear it's a very interesting phobia. And
It's called coulrophobia.
Yes,
It's a rare
exactly.
disease, a
And
rare
it's-
condition, I'm
and
sorry.
a lot of people they're anxious and they get anxiety and cold sweats and they hyperventilate. It depends, there's different degrees. So you've never encountered anybody?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
have,
When
and
you've
I've
been
actually,
performing? When you've been performing?
yes.
And what
And
have you done?
I see myself more of a healer than an entertainer because with my psychological background,
What psychological background?
I was a psychology major before I went to clown college.
Okay, did you graduate from a four-year college?
No, but
So you took some classes in psychology.
I took
All right.
1 year in psychology.
Tell me how you've dealt with people before when you've been entertaining that have had clown phobia.
Pretty much like you deal with people who have arachnophobia. You get them hands-on with the spiders and they learn.
Okay, but that's not your job though. So if you are performing as a clown and you know somebody's afraid of a clown, what do you do?
I approach them very carefully and I try to make them smile and
Why do you do
understand.
that? Why don't you just completely ignore them?
Sometimes it's impossible to ignore.
Okay, all right, so then let's talk about this day. So you're performing in the party. I understand that Mrs. Johnson told you that, are you okay, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Coming up on Justice for All.
I'm sorry, but when she came out to the room holding two pitchers with ginger prune juice or whatever that was, I just said, nice jugs.
And later,
No,
If she didn't want them in the hotel room, she could have said that when I asked, and I would have made them leave.
Did
This
you
whole
say-
thing
did
could
you-
have got
didn't-
avoided.
didn't
She
she-
didn't like the
Mr.
attention I was
Connick,
giving
Mr.
her.
Connick, Mr.
That's what
Crazy,
happened. That's
no.
why
closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Lester Banks, who is suing Bob and Linda Johnson for personal injury and lost wages.
He said that you hit him and he had to go to the emergency room.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, so my wife had hired a Fofo the clown for our 1-year-old's birthday. She knew my fear of clowns, so I was inside for the most part. I did go to the windows or open the door to see what was happening outside, make sure my son was having a good time. He'd come inside a few times throughout the party.
Did you tell him not to come inside?
He knew. My wife had warned him already that I had a phobia of
And
clowns.
you told him, Mrs. Johnson, do not go inside where my husband is?
At the beginning, did a great job. I think he's friendly and I like his, entertainment. But then after 1 hour, he gets a little aggressive towards my husband.
Oh, really? Like, what do you mean aggressive?
It's just like he could sense that my husband didn't like,
He
clowns.
can sense your husband didn't like clowns. Well, he knew your
yeah.
husband didn't like clowns
I'm
because you
pretty
told
sure
him.
he knew, but trying to come to my husband, talk to him.
Was he trying to provoke him?
I'm sorry, he wasn't talking to me. He'd come up from behind me and spook me.
Really?
And I would jump out of my
That's
skin,
not
and he
correct.
did this a few times.
That is a
He did this
lie.
numerous occasions. He done this, and he done some other really nasty stuff.
That
No,
is in
like
your
what?
mind
He,
only.
he was he was becoming a really nasty pervert. He was flirting with. I'm okay with flirting, but he had crossed the lines. He was flirting with my wife. He was saying, "Honey, would you tell her something?"
Yeah, he told me that he wanna give me a clown massage
A
or
clown massage?
yeah, clown
That-
massage, and
Is this
then
something you learned in clown college?
It's just a head squeeze thing. It's,
and then
it's a funny joke.
he also told me that I have a nice jugs.
You have nice jugs?
Yeah,
When I-
and then
when-
he asked you asked me that I would squeeze his honker or something like that.
Yeah.
Your Honor, this is my honker. This one doesn't beep because he broke.
Now
And
it's broken.
did you tell him that you felt uncomfortable, Mrs.
I
Johnson?
told
to
him.
stop?
I told him it was inappropriate.
Inappropriate, yes.
Yeah, and then he was a bad clown. Then I realized
clown.
it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but when she came out to the room holding two pitchers with ginger prune juice or whatever that was, I just said, "Nice jugs."
So, Mr. Banks, did you
Yes,
think
Your
it was appropriate that you would say this to Mrs. Johnson? Even if it's a joke, I understand that you are used to entertaining adults, and maybe those are kind of funny innuendo jokes that you would do, squeeze my honker, nice jugs. Yeah, that's funny in context, but this is a one-year-old birthday party. Did you think it was appropriate to say that?
Well, as I said
You did.
before,
You did. So then what happened, Mr. Johnson, tell me? So how many times did he come in?
Listen, he probably spooked me about 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
I don't know because.
And then what
That is
happened
not
after the last time that he spooked you?
Well, I was hanging out in the house and I was coming around the corner. I guess he must have finished one of his acts with the children, and he was coming around the corner as well. And I thought that he was provoking. He kind of jumped out at me, or what felt like jumped out at me. And my natural first reaction was to throw a punch into his face, and it knocked him out and put him on the floor.
And then what else?
I hit him, and then he was lying there on the floor in a pool of blood. He was
Wow,
dazed,
you hit
and
him hard.
when I realized what I had done, I went down to help him right away, and I got him a rag and called the ambulance and got him to the hospital.
Okay, all right. And then, so, explain this to the
I have no-
$1,700, Mr. Banks?
What? I'm sorry?
Explain the $1,700?
Well, first of all, my medical bill, I had to
Okay,
drive
give me all your
myself.
evidence.
Yes.
Did you feel responsible, Mr. Johnson, that you needed to pay him, or did you say anything to him?
I felt a little bad for what I had done, but I also felt like he provoked me.
Okay.
He had it coming.
Like that.
All right, so, Mr. Banks, this is what I think really happened. I think that maybe in your 15, I don't really know if you've been a clown for 15 years, because even professional performers have a little bit more modesty and a little bit more manners than you do. But I think in your 15 years that you claim you've been a clown, I don't think you've ever really encountered anybody who's actually afraid of clowns. And I think that they forgot to teach you in clown college that if somebody says don't talk to somebody because they may be afraid to clowns, you're supposed to just back off and leave them alone. There's no reason for you to go and scare him 3, 4, 5 times when you know they don't want to talk to you. It's like when you're in kindergarten or you're in 1st grade, 2nd grade. If somebody says leave me alone, you leave them alone. You walk away and you leave them alone. You don't keep poking at them. You don't keep antagonizing them, because what's going to happen? Something like getting punched in the face is going to happen, especially when somebody is so anxious about this. We had to postpone this case almost an hour because he almost didn't want to come in. So that's pretty serious business. So I think you were just trying to provoke and trying to figure out what it was like. I think you kind of took advantage of Mrs. Johnson, and you thought that maybe she wasn't going to understand, and you try to be crude, maybe because of her accent, but just because she has an accent doesn't mean she doesn't understand what's going on. All right? So I think she said the perfect thing. You were a very bad clown. Very bad, and you should be ashamed of yourself. So based on the evidence, I'm denying your claim.
Thank you.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the co-defendants. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I hope you're happy with what you did to me.
Just stay away from me, man.